guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be ranking the 11th Doctor's era from worst to best. Matt Smith, my favorite modern Doctor, but not my favorite modern era. Matter of fact, the Smith era is kind of the one I revisit the least lately, especially in 2023 of modern Who, besides maybe Eccleston's season. I haven't watched Series 1 in a while, but I haven't watched a lot of Smith this year, despite being my favorite Doctor. And despite him having, I think, a better good to bad ratio than Capaldi and Whitaker, I have been rewatching more of their stuff in 2023, I guess, to give it another chance. But there are still, of course, some bad stories in Smith's run, just as there's a bunch of good stories and some stuff in the middle. And the way I have ordered them, we have 39 stories to get through. Of course, there's some two-parters in there, but I do those as one story. And we're going to start at the bottom. In 39th place, at the bottom of the list, is Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. I just can't stand this episode. I think I've only seen it once, maybe twice. I remember I watched it when it originally aired. I may have seen it once since then, or I may have just watched a reactor reacting to it. I just didn't like it. I didn't care for it. The two guest actors didn't do anything for me. They're not memorable at all. I don't remember a lot of this one. It was nice seeing some of the interior of the TARDIS in it. Like that may be the episode where Clara stumbles upon the Time War book, I forget. But it's nice kind of seeing other parts of the TARDIS. But I just didn't get into this. It needs a rewatch, but I'm never up for a rewatch. There have been times where, like, when I'm on like Max and I'm sitting there going, I need to rewatch some Doctor Who, I'll like scan over this episode and I'll be like, no, can't do it, keep scrolling, can't do it. I just can't do it. So yeah, it just ranks at the bottom. I just can't ever bring myself to rewatch it because I really didn't like it. In 38th place is Night Terrors. Again, just didn't like this one. I've seen it at least a couple times, although the scene when Amy gets turned into the doll, when you see her hair change from like behind the thing, that's creepy. That's really creepy. I think it was Night Terrors that did that. But I didn't care for this one. I think that's also the one with the kid with the powers when you flip the... I don't really remember because I really thought it was awful. It's another one of those I don't go back to. No. Let's watch Power of Kroll instead. Because Power of Kroll is way better. I don't just mean Power of Kroll is better. I mean Power of Kroll is better. Yes, this episode makes Power of Kroll look like Genesis of the Daleks. For comparison. No, thank you. Next on the list is Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. I need to rewatch this one because the one time I did watch it, which I think was on its premiere, I was a bit distracted. Let's see, what season is Dinosaurs? That's season 1. What was I distracted? I'd just broken up with the girl I was dating. So I remember we broke up between Asylum of the Daleks and Dinosaurs on the Spaceship. So I don't remember if I was texting with her a little, trying to work things out or not. I forget. I don't remember. I just remember I wasn't fully paying attention to it, or if I was texting with someone else. I don't remember. But this episode's a little vague in my head. It's really hard for me for the episodes with Brian in them because we never got good closure for Brian as a character. Because the Doctor had promised him he's going to take care of Amy and Roy, and then they get stuck in the past, and we never see him talk to Brian about that. I've seen the little PS scene that never actually got filmed, where like his son, or his grandson, meets him, but I don't really count it because we never really got it. It always bugs me that the Doctor never went to Brian and said, here's what happened, I'm sorry, We just get introduced to this character and we don't know what happens to him. That always rubs me the wrong way. Since he features heavily in this episode, it would really irk me. So I never really just go back to it. Number 36 is The Power of Three. It's a Chibnall episode, isn't it? How did someone see this episode and go, yeah, let's make that guy the showrunner? No. I do enjoy the scene when the Doctor's bored and trying to kill time. And just for like maybe an hour had passed or whatever. That's hilarious. That is really funny. The rest of the episode is just very boring. And another example of how come people never remember this happening later? Like all of these weird things happen on Earth in Modern Who, and everyone just conveniently forgets it the next series or whatever. Another episode that I can never go back to and define. I have actually watched this one multiple times, probably 2 or 3 times, but other than introducing Kate Stewart too. And Kate Stewart is actually good in this episode. And when it's revealed that she's the Brigadier's daughter, that is a very touching scene, especially for someone who grew up with the classic series and has a very emotional connection to the Brigadier. Next on the list is Let's Kill, well, you know, that guy. Yeah, this one's pretty bad. This is one of the ones that made me start to get annoyed with River Song, I think. I just don't care for this one. The bit at the end when he's talking to the hologram about feeling guilty. Guilt, more guilt. I did enjoy that scene a bit. The idea of the people who run around in the machines who can't really interfere with history, but they can just give people a hard time and make them suffer. It's a pretty neat little concept, and I do love how they play into the finale of the story. That's really clever, and I enjoy that. But the episode as a whole is utter garbage, for the most part, honestly. Number 34 is Amy's Choice. I know some people like this one, but Prowl's choice is not to watch it. I don't like it. I do like having Toby, is that his name? The guy playing the Dream Lord. I like him as an actor. He's also great in Marvel. I just like him. He does a cool job as the Dream Lord, which is kind of like a modern version take on the Valiard in a way, which I like. Everyone's putting in a good performance. I don't care for the story. I just don't. This episode bores me. It bores me. I mean, I do love the fact it makes Amy commit more to Rory instead of having this weird love triangle we've had that never really works. It's good for that. But, yeah, no. Pass. Hard pass. Boring, uninteresting, don't care. Number 33 is The Hungry Earth and, what is it, Cold Blood or whatever, the one that brought back the Silurians and ruined them. First off, that new design for the Silurians looks trash. Looks garbage, don't care for it, no thank you. Also, the story, trash, don't care for it, no thank you. I never go back to this one, and I've watched it, I'd say probably 3 times since it originally aired. Don't care for it, no thank you. Utter trite. Once again, give me Power of Prowl. Every single episode we have talked about on this list so far makes Power of Prowl look like City of Death by comparison. You guys know how I am about Power of Prowl. I would watch Power of Prowl 10 times before I would watch a single one of these. And that's just the difference between bad classic Who and bad modern Who. That is a chasm of a difference. You couldn't pull off that difference. It is, Evel Knievel couldn't ramp a bike over, across that chasm. It's such a difference between bad classic Who and bad modern Who. Delta and the Bannerman, way better than every story we've talked about. Greatest show in the galaxy, way better. The Web Planet, way better than every single story we've talked about so far. The next one on the list is The Rings of Acatan. Better. This is better. I still don't really care for this one. Matt Smith's speech at the end is great. I like that. It's a really great speech. And Clara kind of saving the day at the end works really well. I like that. All of his past couldn't do it, but all of the potential futures could. I like that. The bit with the leaf. That really works. I enjoyed that. The rest of the episode up to that point, no. No, thank you. Don't care. Very boring. Nope. Still in the not very interesting, rather watch Power of Prowl bit. And next on the list is The Angels Take Manhattan. No. This could be the weakest of the Weeping Angel episodes, just the ones that predominantly feature them. I don't mean the ones where they show up for like 3 seconds for whatever reason. Looking at you, Revolution of the Daleks. Why is that there? That doesn't need to be there. All that does is water the Weeping Angels down more. Yeah, I don't get into this one at all, except for like the one guy who keeps one prisoner. and how he gets his comeuppance at the end when he wakes up and they're all coming for him. I love that. But the stuff going on with Amy and Rory, the jumping the shark, the jumping the entire group of sharks, the jumping the megalodon scene of the Statue of Liberty being the weeping angel, that's right up there with the moon is an egg. And when it comes to stupidity, not buying it. So in the opening trailer for the episode, you already got me going, nope. The whole thing with the paradox and feeding off the energy is an idea on paper that doesn't work in execution. Rory once again having to practically die for Amy. Dude, you got problems. I get she loves you back, you're married, you must be doing something right, but that's some obsession right there. The fact that he for some reason can't go back to visit them ever makes no sense. Well, I can't go back to that time because it's been done too much. Fine, go to 2 years later. If you can't go to that year, go to like 2 or 3 years later. At some point, they didn't die until the 80s. You can go back and visit them at some point. You're a freaking time traveler. Yeah, there's a lot of stupid in this episode, and I don't like it. Next on the list is the wedding of River's song. What a convoluted mess. This finale had a lot of things it needed to tie up neatly. It did not succeed. It's not the worst. It's meh. I mean, we're making another leap here. It's meh. I think I'd still rather watch The Power of Coal, but it's meh. It's watchable. It's got elements to it that I like, elements to it I don't like. The little in-joke with the eye patches, which is a nod not only to Inferno, but a nod to a behind-the-scenes fact about Inferno. Love that. Love that. Very nice. And it has, like I said, a few other moments in it I like, but it is a convoluted mess of a story that doesn't tighten everything up very well. Plus, it has the guy who plays Churchill back as Churchill, and I like him. He's such a good Churchill. His Baron Vladimir Harkonnen wasn't bad either. Next on the list is the Rebel Flesh, the Almost People. Again, there are elements to this I like, but overall I don't really care for it. I love the ending with the swapping of the shoes. That's great, and I enjoy that, and it shows how biased Amy was being in it. When the other doctor is talking in the previous doctor's voices is pretty cool. There's ideas on paper here I really like, and the concept of what is sentient, what has a soul, and all of that. There's a lot of ethical questions about this episode, which I like, but just the execution of the story, I find uninteresting, especially for a two-parter. It doesn't do a lot for me, but I enjoy some of the elements of it. Next on the list, getting into ones I find enjoyable to a degree, is The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. I enjoyed this one. Is it the most interesting story? No. Is it a fun little Christmas romp? Yeah, it's fine for what it is. It really focuses on hope and wishful thinking and hopeful thinking and having faith. It's a nice, fun little fairy tale of a story. And I tend to like when Doctor Who can do fantasy or fairy tale. It's a nice little fairy tale story, much like its name is derived from. It's one I like to go back every few years. I think I've only watched it like twice, actually, so once maybe a decade. But I enjoyed my last watch through of it, I will admit. Let's see. Next on the list, I believe we're at 27, is Closing Time. Closing Time is good except for the ending. I tend to like whenever Craig shows up. I like James Corden when he's in Doctor Who. Because him and Matt Smith are just hilarious together. Just the 11th Doctor and Craig are funny. They amuse me. I love the bit when they're at the store and the woman is checking them out. And I believe it's Lydia? The same woman who sings the ballad of Johnny Ringo, the woman who plays in Enlightenment. I think that's actually her playing the people checking them out. She thinks they're a couple. And I like how James Corden, Craig just rolls with it and he's joking. It's a funny scene. It's a really funny scene. I'll never forget the scene when the doctor sees Amy. I can't remember if it's Amy and Roy or just Amy. And she's like signing autographs and he's a little confused. And then he notices, you know, that she's on like a little poster banner there that she like does perfume or whatever it is she's advertising. I remember asking my uncle, who's a big Doctor Who fan, I mean, he's been working there for months and he's never noticed that sign there before. And my uncle's response was, well, you know how he is. And that worked for me. I was like, fair enough. That's very the Doctor to be there and not be totally oblivious to it the whole time. I could see that. Especially the 11th Doctor, but a lot of Doctors that would apply to. Like, that was like the perfect answer for my uncle to give. And it just fit perfectly. My headcanon was like, I accept that. It's a fun episode except for that ending of, we beat him, Alfie. We beat him with love. It's the same reason why the ending of the Daemons doesn't work and holds that story back. It just kind of kills the ending, but the rest of the story is fun. I enjoy it. Number 26 is Curse of the Black Spot. Again, is this essential Doctor Who? No. Is it fun? Sure. Is it interesting? Yes. Is it one you go back to a lot? No. But it's one to go back and rewatch every few years. Now, the first time I watched it, I didn't really remember much. It didn't leave much of an impression on me. It kind of had it was like Terminus, you know, just very forgettable. I didn't remember a lot of it. But when I did a rewatch of it, probably 2 or 3 years now, ago, I liked it well enough. The resolution was kind of, but it was fine. It's one of those that's fine for once every 7, 8, 9, 10 years. There's nothing inherently bad about it, but there's nothing that really stands out about it either. It's very much a Terminus episode at the end of the day. Next on the list is the Pandoras Opens and the Big Bang. Not a bad cliffhanger. There's still a lot going on. Moffat is really good at remembering the Doctor is a time traveler and using that to good effect, especially during part 2 when the Doctor's running around doing all these time travel shenanigans. And he's able to keep it rolling pretty weird. The bit at the end with the rewind and then him able to come back because she remembered him as a little... But it's enjoyable, it's fun, it's fine, it ties everything up well enough. I don't mind it. It's not... Is it essential Doctor Who? I don't think so, but it's fine. It's fine. Number 24 is The Lodger. Again, the Doctor with Craig. I love the Doctor with Craig. They're just a hoot. I enjoyed this one. I like the actress also playing Craig's girlfriend, who later becomes his girlfriend, wife, whatever. I like her as an actress. This one's just fun. Again, the ending is meh, but I enjoy the story well enough, and Matt and James have really good chemistry together. The 11th Doctor and Craig have good chemistry together. So, fun. Not essential, but fun. Good filler episode. Next on the list is Nightmare in Silver, which I think I like a little more than most people do. I think Neil did a good job with it. I don't enjoy all of the upgrade stuff. Although the Cybermen, I actually enjoy over the course of the Cybermen's run, from 10th Planet to now, how they're becoming more robotic. How more and more the robotic is replacing the flesh to where they're more robotic than flesh. That's an interesting evolution when you look at it as a whole from their inception in 10th Planet to where they are now. It's kind of fascinating to think about, to the point to where the lone Cybermen wanted to get rid of the flesh components completely because he felt like, I guess, they'd outlived them. So that's an interesting thing. The new designs in them I enjoy well enough. I like it better than the designs we'd had in Modern Who up to that point. The kids are annoying, but that's kind of a given. The guy who works in the shop, who runs the little trade thing, he's fine. I think Matt Smith is putting in a great performance here. I actually like the bit going on with him and Mr. Clever. I actually really enjoy that. Some people don't, but I like it. I think Matt does a really good job with his acting, differentiating between the two of them. And I love the scene when they're actually talking in his head about how they're battling for control of the last bit. That's actually really cool. And I love how it even used the weakness to gold in it. Nope, gold, slap. I like that. But I love how the Cybermen have advanced enough. They create upgrades to get past it very quickly. I enjoy that. Both of those make sense to me. It's a nice callback to Classic Who while also showing how the Cybermen have advanced. I enjoy this episode. Is it perfect? No, but I like it well enough. I like how it even looks kind of like the Borg, how it assimilates people, how the Borg assimilate people. It kind of has that look to it. So the Borg themselves kind of borrowed from the Cybermen, so it's kind of nice to see that going full circle with the Cybermen kind of borrowing from the Borg here. I enjoy that. Next on the list, and to be honest, this one is probably higher than a lot of you thought I would have it, is Vincent and the Doctor. I have issues with Vincent and the Doctor. I've talked about it on the channel many times. I think the fact that the creature is just a giant rooster is a big cop-out and lazy writing. I never like when the villain in Doctor Who is an alien that's basically a bigger version of an Earth animal, except the Jadoon. The Jadoon get a pass because the Jadoon are just awesome. You know, do something different with it. Don't just give me, oh, it's an Earth creature, but smarter and bigger, and it can walk on 2 feet. I don't care. You know, be more creative than that. So I'm never really impressed with that. The fact it's invisible is an interesting way to save on budget. I don't really enjoy it, but it's interesting that only Vincent can see it because he sees things different than we do. That's an interesting idea. I love the scene when they're all laying down looking at the stars and the stars transition into starry night. That is a beautiful shot. I love that shot so much. I love the chemistry between Amy and Vincent because this is right after Rory has died and never existed, so Amy doesn't remember Rory. So we find her kind of forming what could be the beginnings of a romantic attachment, what could have been the beginnings of a romantic attachment between them. I actually really enjoy that. The ending scene, the speech with the pile of good things and the pile of bad things is a beautiful speech and very, very accurate. I think that's a great speech, just a motivational speech to give someone in real life because that's a very true fact. I really adore that speech. And, you know, talking about how their children could have been the ultimate ginger. I like that. Of course, I don't like the scene when Vincent goes to the future. It is the jumping the shark moment for me in Doctor Who. It is the moment where it's the most self-congratulating moment I've ever seen in Doctor Who, where Doctor Who's just kind of going, look what we did. Aren't we amazing? I don't really care for it. I don't really like it. And for the episode to end on such a downer if he dies anyway, which, don't get me wrong, that's how depression really works. It's not something you cure and it's magically gone. It's something that comes and goes. And I get that's kind of the message of the episode, but you know, I don't want to watch Doctor Who to learn about being depressed or to watch it to make me depressed. It's one of the reasons I much prefer Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror over this. Nikola Tesla's just a more fun episode and has a much more optimistic ending with its guest character, which I love. I love the ending of the Tesla episode so much. I find that episode way better than this one. Even though, again, there are elements of this episode that I like. There are definitely elements of Vincent and the Doctor I enjoy very much. That's why it ranks as high as it does, which is lower than most people would have it, but probably higher than some of you thought I would have it. Next on the list is Hyde. Hyde is a fun one. It's interesting because Hyde changes genres. Hyde starts out as kind of a horror story and then turns into kind of a romance story, an action story, and sci-fi story. All of these genres are rolled in there and it's kind of switching between them. You know, Hyde does not end the way you think it's going to when you started it. It's a fun story. It's great. I love all the different twists and turns it takes. I love the direction of it. I think it's directed very well. I love the camera work in it. I don't like the fact that Matt Smith pronounces the Metebelis 3 crystal wrong. Metebelis 3? Unforgivable. Yeah. Metebelis 3. Metebelis 3. The fact that I don't know why that bugs me as much as it does, but it really does. Then again, John Pertwee also calls Omega, so maybe he was the one pronouncing it wrong. But I enjoy Hyde. It's an interesting, unique episode because I love how it just swaps genres the way it does. Jumping into the top 20, we're going to talk about Asylum of the Daleks. A very flawed but very fun episode. It's a great way to introduce us to Clara, even though it's not our Clara, it's Oswin. It's interesting how they snuck her in. Nobody knew she was going to be in this episode. It's a clever way they do it. The twist with her at the end is really well done. We know she's supposed to be the next companion, so wondering how that's going to play after what we see is interesting. It has some nice humor in it. Don't compliment the Daleks when they're firing me at a planet. It does have some good little humorous bits. This is the one I think that started with like the Dalek zombies or whatever with the stalks out of it. I've never liked that. I've never liked that idea. Like it's used pretty effectively here. Like the guy going, "Oh, I died. I forgot about that." And then even the one's dead and they're doing, that's pretty creepy, almost like a zombie movie. So it's effective, but it's an idea and a concept I don't like. And the fact they used it even more after that just irked me. So that's something that needs to go away. The idea of the Daleks even having an asylum is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's absurd. Because the Daleks kill other Daleks when they fail. Why would they keep defective Daleks? You figured they would just kill them. They wouldn't keep them. It goes against everything it means to me to be a Dalek. There's a defective Dalek. We have a cure for that. Boom! And then the whole thing with the relationship between Amy and Rory feels very forced. Very, very forced. Like it's there just to be there for the plot, for the Doctor to fix it. Feels very forced and shouldn't be there. So a lot of flaws with this episode, but I still find it enjoyable to watch. That's why it ranks this high. I like that. What happened to who killed all the Daleks? And he's just like, who do you think? I love that. Next on the list is The Girl Who Waited. A very emotional episode, and once again, all of this stuff kind of happens because it's the Doctor's fault. The Doctor took them there. So all of this in a way is kind of his fault, putting Amy and Rory through the emotional trauma they go through in this episode. It's a good episode. Arthur and Karen are putting in amazing performances. I mean, Karen's putting in double time performances here. And she does great with both. Arthur is great in both. The chemistry between them is good with a really heartbreaking ending. Really heartbreaking. It's a really, really powerful episode. I really enjoy it. Number 18 is the name of the Doctor. The beginning of this episode, the opening scene before the credits is one of the best opening scenes in all of Doctor Who. I love that. Seeing Clara, basically interacting with all of the classic Doctors. Even 8, if you look very closely, 8's there. It's easy to miss him, but 8 is there if you're paying attention. It took me years to realize 8 was there. Actually, I never realized it until someone pointed it out, but since they pointed it out, I can see it. But he's there. That is a beautiful opening shot. Especially incorporating original classic series footage into it. Even though it doesn't quite make sense for Clara to be there, like when Omega's got 5, and how is Clara there? It doesn't really make sense when you think about it, but it looks amazing. Most of the stuff going on in the episode itself is Richard E. Grant is amazing. He's great. He's one of the strong parts of the episode, and I love having the Great Intelligence back. That's really cool. This was actually the first time I ever saw the Great Intelligence, but I was aware of him from Classic Who. Snowman was actually the first time I saw him, but the 11th Doctor was the first time I actually watched episodes with the Great Intelligence. I saw Abominable Snowman and Web of Fear later, but I was aware that he was a returning classic villain from the Second Doctor era. But he's done really well here. Most of the story up to is all right. I love the ending, though. I love the ending, even if it doesn't quite make sense how Richard E. Grant was destroyed, but Clara wasn't, and how the Doctor could enter his own. That's a little, once again, don't think about it too hard. Don't think about it. Just move on and enjoy the show. And then the cliffhanger of the War Doctor with John Hurt is an amazing cliffhanger, and I love John Hurt, so we have John Hurt as the Doctor, and 6 months of, oh my God, what is going on? The episode ranks this high more for that. The actual stuff between the middle is just okay at best. Number 17 on the list is the Crimson Horror. I enjoy the Crimson Horror. I think it's silly fun. It's a great filler episode. Kind of like the Unicorn and the Wasp. Is it essential Doctor Who? No, but it's fun. It's silly fun. I love it. Diana Riggs getting to basically play this kind of crazy old lady. The actress playing her daughter, which I believe is her real life daughter, does a really good job playing that character. I love the scene when it shows the flashback of how they ended up there, and it's done in that kind of sepia, however you say it, tone to give that old-timey look. And you even have the Doctor reference Tegan, and then he looks at her and goes, "Braveheart, Clara." So that's a nice callback to Tegan I like. I enjoy the ending. What was it he said? I'm trying to remember. He said, "I'm the Doctor, you're nuts, and I'm going to stop you." I love that. I love it. It's very much an episode that feels like it's meant to be done tongue-in-cheek, and it's meant to be taken tongue-in-cheek. It's Doctor Fun. It's Doctor Who just having fun, and I love that. I love the bit when Jenny is like stripping down so she can fight, and the Doctor's watching her with his Sonic, and the Sonic is like, and then he looks at it and he's like, and then as he's watching her without him realizing it, it's the innuendo there. I just love the innuendo. And the perplexed way he looks at it like, huh? What? Like he doesn't know what's going on, but the Sonic knows what's up. I love that. It's a hilarious, underrated episode. That's just a lot of fun. Don't take it too seriously. You know, treat it like the Horns of Nimon, but whereas the Horns of Nimon is unintentionally camp and silly, Crimson Horror seems like it was made knowing it's supposed to be camp and silly, much like Unicorn and the Wasp, which I also enjoy. Fun episode. Number 16 is the Vampires of Venice, in Venice, Vampires of Venice, Vampires in Venice, whichever one it is. I like this one a lot. It's got a lot going on in it. First off, the actor who plays the father who's trying to rescue his daughter, he's great. I really like him in this. I love the humor in this story. There's a lot of funny moments between the Doctor and Rory. I think this is the one where at the beginning he's at Rory's bachelor party and pops up out of the cake. He's like, "We've got to talk, you know. Your girlfriend or your fiance kissed me last night." And Rory's like, "Oh, no, it's okay. She's a great kisser." That whole scene's funny. The bit when they both have the UV lights and the Doctor just pulls out the boom. "Yours is bigger. Let's not go there." There's a lot of humorous bits. Although I like when he gets snappy with Amy too about telling her to wait in the TARDIS. "Go wait in the TARDIS. This isn't a discussion. I say you do." And she gets mad at him about it because she kind of likes to think of herself as his equal. And he's like, "No, I call the shots. Go." I like that. I love that, especially Series 5, 11th Doctor does have a little bit of that 6th Doctor temper sometimes. I enjoy that. As fun and childlike as he can be, there is a temper back there. I love the fact that it's not vampires, but fish people from space. I even like that. Vampires. No, fish from space, or whatever it is he says. I love that. I love the scene when he sees the reflection in the mirror and they're not there. And totally oblivious to the danger he's in. He's just excited as a schoolboy when he's... How are you doing that? I love... That is so the Doctor. To be completely oblivious to the danger and just be super excited like a kid in a candy store. I love that. I love that. Tell me the whole plan. One day that'll work. It has so many fun moments. The actress who plays like the leader of the fish people, the mom of the fish people, she is phenomenally good in this. She really sells her and adds kind of a little sympathetic side to their side, to the antagonist of the story, that you understand why they're doing what they're doing. Not because they're necessarily malicious. They're just trying to create them a new home. They're still, of course, the bad guys, but you kind of understand why they're doing what they're doing. They feel a little more fleshed out because of it. I love the scene when her and the Doctor are trading questions. And I love the fact they're talking to each other with this kind of manner of respect. That, like, even though they're adversaries, they still have a respect for each other as people. I love that. Her and Matt just portray that well on screen. And I love when they're trading questions and she's like, "Where are you from?" And he's like, "Gallifrey." He's like, "You belong in a museum or a mausoleum." I really enjoy that. There's just so much that makes this episode work. Is it perfect? No, but is it really good? Yes. Next on the list, and again probably higher than people thought it would be, is the God Complex. This is not one I'm overly fond of. And the reason it is this high is I love how well it's directed and shot. It's one that has, I think, a crap script. I think the script is crap and doesn't make any sense and is dumb. But I think it's cast well. I think it's directed well, and the camera work is astounding. I love it. It does a good job of keeping you uneasy or off kilter. This feeling that something is slightly off and not normal. The way it uses camera angles and lighting and zoom. Kind of like how, like in The Shining, there are these things where something feels off. It does that really, really well. It's very rare in Doctor Who where I can see a story that I think is just utter bollocks, but the episode is executed so well that it really makes up for it. And I enjoy the casting, especially the one girl that really forms a connection with 11. They actually click really well. You can see her as a potential companion. I really felt it when she got killed and how the Doctor wanted to save her. I really like the actress playing her. She did a really good job selling me on that character and getting me attached to that character. I totally bought into her. And then Matt having to break Amy's faith in him, which, to be fair, is a retread of what Seven had to do with Ace in Curse of Fenric. So that kind of hurts it a little bit, because anytime when I see it in the God Complex, I'm always like, I've seen this done better, because Curse of Fenric's way better. But the execution of the story is still really, really good, and that's the reason why it places this high. Next on the list is The Doctor's Wife. This is an interesting one. It's scary, it's creepy, it's got atmosphere to it. The actor whoever it is that's voice acting House in it does a really good job voice acting House. It's one of those, like, I want to think it's Gabriel Wolf, but I know it's not Gabriel Wolf, but I swear to God it seems like it's Gabriel Wolf. But the voice actor doing it is really, really good. I do love the scene when he's telling the Doctor to fear him because he's killed so many Time Lords. The Doctor's like, fear me, I've killed all of them. That's a cool moment. Watching him play his games with Amy and Rory, especially when Rory's the old man, like, you left me again. That's creepy. How House is just screwing with them. That's creepy, man. I would hate to be in that situation where it's just toying with you like cat and mouse. And then watching the Doctor get angry when he realizes all the other Time Lords are dead, when he finds all the distress cubes. You gave me hope. Oh, but the actress who plays the TARDIS when it's in like human form, she's great. She is phenomenal. She is one of the reasons why this episode works. What do I call you? Sexy. You call me sexy. Only when we're alone. I love that. There's some nice humorous bits in it. I like the little partial TARDIS they have working. I love the resolution of how the Doctor tricks him into getting him back into the central console room so the TARDIS can take back over. And I love her being able to have the last message with him. I just wanted to say something I've always wanted to say. Goodbye, no. Hello. It's a beautiful, touching episode with some truly horrific moments in it. It's really, really good Doctor Who. And next on the list is A Town Called Mercy. It was nice to get a kind of Wild West Doctor Who episode. We don't get many of those. The only one coming to mind is the Gunfighters. It's fun. I liked it. The cast was really good. I thought the cyborg design was pretty neat. Kind of made me think of RoboCop in a way. And another 80s movie with a cyborg in it that I can't remember the name of that I really like. Because he has a gun kind of like that too. He can even shoot torpedoes out of it. And that's pretty good. The guy playing the sheriff is good. The guy playing the alien doctor is good. This story I enjoy. Finding out that, I like complex characters like the alien doctor. In a way, he's a good person. In a way, he's not. He's done some questionable things with the creation of the cyborg, but he had good intentions doing it. So he's kind of a complex character, and the fact he sacrifices himself at the end to kind of put a stop to all of it. Watching the Doctor get angry and nearly lose his temper. Because I enjoy, like, Dark Doctor sometimes. It fits him in modern Who, having been through the events of the Time War and the post-traumatic stress that would leave. Like, of course he's not going to act exactly like the Doctor did in the classic series. He's been through so much more. And, imagine how you would feel if you had to kill every other human on Earth just to save the universe. Best of intentions, you're saving the universe, but literally everyone you know is gone. All the other humans gone. You're the only human left. You're going to have some baggage from that, I would imagine. So I could see the Doctor having that anger in him, that almost self-loathing at times. And that bit when he has basically the other Doctor at gunpoint, all the people who suffered because of my mercy, or whatever he says. I enjoy that scene a lot, with, of course, Amy being the voice of reason when she's like, this is what happens when you're alone for too long, showing how how much the Doctor needs the companions, how he needs that bond, that friendship, that type of friendship relationship, how he needs that to kind of keep him centered, which I like. It's just a really, really good episode, and it's nice to have a Western in Doctor Who again. Number 12 is A Christmas Carol, my favorite of the Christmas specials we've had. I like this one. Michael Gambon, who sadly passed away recently, phenomenal in this episode. Phenomenal. It's a wonderful take on A Christmas Carol with a Doctor Who spin on it. Matt Smith is just really on fire in the role here. I love how he's playing the Doctor in this. I still don't understand how nobody lost an arm to the shark, though. Like the bit about, okay, I get 2 chances and then it's your turn. I don't know how nobody lost an arm getting that part of the Sonic pack. I want to know how that happened. But I just enjoy it. I think it's written well. I think it's directed well. I think it's performed well. And the twist at the end of how he does kind of the Ghost of Christmas Future bit by bringing the young him to the future is really, really clever. And I really like the music in it. That one song, I actually own that song on my iTunes that she sings at the end. It's a beautiful song. It's a really, really good Christmas special. My favorite of the Christmas specials. Next on the list is The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon. What a great way to start off Series 6. What a mystery it sets off there. I mean, the Doctor dying, what's going on? We're going back to the past, the moon landing, that's cool. It's got the guy who plays Canton Edward Delaware III, or whatever his name is, especially the younger version of him. That guy is great. I like him as an actor a lot. He's also in the modern Battlestar Galactica series. Just really like him. I like him as an actor, and I love him as the character in this. I just love how he takes everything in stride. That bit when the Doctor's just asking for 5 minutes, and he's like, 5 minutes? You can listen to this guy, or the guy who actually snuck in, and how quickly he adjusts to the TARDIS when he's just like your wheels. I really like him. He sells me a lot on this episode. The Silents are a really cool concept. I love how they kind of play into the Slender Man thing with their appearance. But what a concept. Something that, as soon as you're not looking at it anymore, you forget all memory of ever having seen it. That's a fascinating idea. I would have never thought of that. That is a fascinating creature concept. And they're executed really well in this episode. I don't know about their arc overall, but really well in this episode. Part 2 doesn't live up to Part 1. There is some convoluted, why is this happening, especially at the beginning with them getting shot but not getting shot. Like I said, it's a little much. There's definitely some unnecessary stuff going on there. Although the scene with the one guy who still thinks it's like 1964 because it's happened to him so much, the actor playing him does a really good job. There's a lot of really creepy scenes in this, and a lot of questions were left for at the end of it. But the ending of the episode, the resolution of the story, is also really good in showing the Doctor when he's at his most confident and how he sets it up with the moon landing. That's really clever. Really good resolution. Series 6 doesn't live up to what is set up here, but the actual 2-parter itself is a really fun watch. And moving into the top 10 with The Time of the Doctor. I like the fact that Matt's final story wasn't really a 2-parter. I don't think it needed to be. And the fact that he basically had to regenerate due to old age. The bit with the clothes is weird, the hologram clothes. That's a little unnecessary. I mean, it's funny, but it's a little unnecessary. And I do like the fact when she's trying to bake the turkey, he's like, you need a time machine. She looks at him, he's like, what? That's very the Doctor. So I do like that. The aged makeup on him looks really good. The part when he's only like 300 years older looks really good. And then the part when he's like old is still pretty good. Not as good, but still pretty good. I think everyone's putting in a good performance. I think it's weird to have a planet or a town called Christmas. I think it's a good resolution to Trenzalore and a good way to get out of the Doctor's supposed to be dying there. It's a clever way of resetting the regeneration cycle, because that's just going off stuff Classic Who established. Like 5 Doctors established, you could be granted a new regeneration cycle. So I like that. It ties back in with the cracks in the wall really well. The actual regeneration's a bit naff with the little sneeze regeneration. I don't really care for that. But I think it's a good, fun episode, and I really like the woman who runs the church. The actress playing her is just phenomenally good. I like her. Number 9 on the list is Cold War. You guys know I love Cold War. It is probably my favorite Ice Warrior story. The 2 modern Who Ice Warrior stories are my favorite Ice Warrior stories. I'm not ashamed to say that. They're really good. We have first off, we have David Warner. We have David Warner in Doctor Who proper. I am so happy that we got to have that, and he is great in this episode. I love how well him and Clara get along. We have it in a submarine, which is nice because it makes everything claustrophobic, everything very pinned in, very crammed in. And then we have a nice new take on the Ice Warriors with them confirming that it is armor they're wearing, which makes perfect sense. And the reason they don't take it off is just because it's dishonorable for them to do. But with him being out of the armor, there's so many places he can hide. It's almost like Alien, you know, diving around, ducking in the little narrow places. You never know when he's going to reach down to get you. Got some nice tension and atmosphere into it. We get to see the Sonic do the red setting. But we still get to see the Ice Warrior be honorable at the end when him and the Doctor manage to talk it out. It's a really good resolution. And it's a great excuse for the TARDIS not to be there with it relocating out of danger, kind of like it does in the Crotons. It's a really good story. Easily my favorite Ice Warrior story. Number 8 on the list is A Good Man Goes to War, which is a great mid-season finale and really sets things up for the second half of the series, which would let it down. But there's just so much going on here. It's just stuff's happening, stuff's happening, stuff's happening, stuff's happening. Matt Smith is on fire in this. I love him in this. I think my biggest complaint is just him recruiting the people to help him. I feel like he should have had more. The Doctor is owed a lot of favors. You know, the Brigadier should be there, unit should be there. I mean, obviously, realistically, they can't because budget, Nicholas Courtney had passed. But in my mind, it's just weird that he only recruits a few people that I guess the 11th Doctor had saved. I mean, if this was the Doctor getting an army, the Doctor would get an army. And for some reason, that always bugs me a little bit. I do like the headless monks, the bit with the headless monks and how like we see the one guy make the donation. That's really cool. I enjoyed the scene the Doctor has with the female soldier that knew him from her childhood. The little conversation between her and the Doctor is that's beautifully written, beautifully directed, beautifully acted. The bit when he's telling her, you know, you saved my friend. I heard you helped my friends. Thank you. And then she kind of mentions who she is, and he remembers, you know. And he recounts, yeah, we ran and we ran and we ran. And the bit about when, after she dies, you know, I think it's Madame Vastrozak, she's very brave. And he's like, you know, they're always brave. That's a very beautiful scene. I liked having Dorian back because I love Dorian as a character. I just love Dorian as a character. I love that we got him back later just as the head of the box. I like Dorian as a character. The guy who plays him was great. And then, of course, it revealed to us who River was, whether you like that or not. I'm fine with it. I love the speech when he tells the guy to run away. I want you to be known as Captain Runaway. And the bit when he's telling Madame Kavara or whatever her name is, you know, good men don't need rules. Now is not the day to find out why I have so many. And then how upset he is when he realizes, you know, why would they think a Time Lord is a weapon? Well, they've seen you, and how that kind of hits him emotionally. There's a lot of really good acting from Matt Smith in this episode. I mean, there's so many good things going on it, but he is really carrying this episode. The bit, I love how confident he is when he reveals himself disguised as a monk. Go ahead and point a gun at me if you like. Amelia Pond, get your coat. I love that. Just, there's so many good things happening in this episode, and it's just, it's a great way to end the middle of the series and then tease us what's going to happen next in the second half of the series, which was a big letdown. Next on the list is The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone, I believe it was, two-parter, when the Weeping Angels came back. This one's good. I like that it does something different with the Angels. It doesn't just try to be Blink again. The Angels act differently in this, and I'm fine with them being able to do the stuff they do in this. I like how they mess with Bob, you know, Angel Bob. The bit with Angel Bob is pretty cool, how they do that just to kind of mess with the Doctor. We find out, we get to see River again. It's nice to see River back. I think this is the first time is this the first time 11 meets River? I think so. I think it's the first time 11 and River meet. And the mystery of what's going on with her, although I knew who it was she killed, it was kind of obvious. The bit about the angels, anything that represents an image of an angel becomes an angel, I think is kind of stupid. But that part I don't like, and the bit about the angel in her eye and you can't open, that part's kind of stupid. The angels coming to life, the first time I saw it, I thought it was pretty neat because it was kind of just neat to see the effect of that. But looking back on it, I don't think that was a good idea. I wish they hadn't done that. I like leaving to the imagination what they look like when they're not quantum locked, and the fact they're supposed to be super fast when they're not quantum locked. It's a little disappointing looking back on it. But I enjoyed the cliffhanger. I love his speech about, there's one thing you never put in a trap. That's a great speech. I love how they don't realize the problem until the Doctor's talking about the race that lived on the planet. And till he talks about them having two heads, and River and the Doctor realize at the same time. And I love just the way Matt Smith, when he realized, he's just like, oh. Because the statues all only have one head. I love that. And then even River's like, ooh. It's a good one. It's a fun one. It's nice that I like them bringing the angels back for a victory lap, but I like the fact they did something different with them. I don't agree with everything, but I think it's a good two-parter. And I like how the Doctor solved the situation at the end. Next on the list is the Day of the Doctor. I like the Day of the Doctor overall. I do feel it's more a celebration of like 8 years of modern Who than it is all of classic Doctor Who, but it does have some nice Easter eggs in there. It's great to see Tennant back. When this came out, I was still a huge Tennant fanboy. He was my #2 Doctor for a long time. So it was great to see him back, although I'm never going to get used to his hair in that. His hair just looks so weird in that compared to how it's supposed to look. That always bugs me. I love the fact that the 10th Doctor and 11th Doctors get on so well. It's fun to watch them act together. It's so amazing seeing John Hurt as the War Doctor. I kind of wish he had a little more to do, but he is great in the role, and their reaction to seeing him, like, I love that bit when he tells him that later. Ooh, the way you look at me, what is that? That's just some phenomenal acting from John Hurt. I think it's cast well. It's nice to see the Zygons back, since this is the first time we'd ever seen them back since Terror of the Zygons. It's great to see them come back. I think the Daleks could have been utilized a little better, but there's already so much going on in this story, I can see why they weren't. I think it was a great way to bring Billie Piper back. I love the scene at the end showing all of the Doctors there helping. They needed to extend that, though. That's over way too quickly. I love that scene, seeing all the classic Doctors there working to help, but I love some of the YouTube edits of that better. Some of the fan edits where they add in more footage with the classic Doctors. It should have been done like that. The sneak peek at 12 was awesome. I loved that. And of course, seeing the curator at the end is one of my favorite all-time Doctor Who moments. It's so amazing to see Tom step back into the role, even if Chris Chibnall kind of undid the whole point of that conversation when he destroyed Gallifrey again. Yet another reason I have such a strong dislike for Chris Chibnall. But the actual scene is still fantastic. It's great to have Tom back. It's a good episode. It's a really good episode. Not the best anniversary special, but a good one. And number 5 on the list is The Snowman. Another great Christmas special, actually ranking higher than A Christmas Carol, which I call my favorite Christmas special, so you're going to have to figure that one out for yourself, actually. Apparently I need to figure that one out for myself, too. Just in retrospect, I really like The Snowman. Looking back on it, Richard E. Grant, again, as I mentioned before, is just great as the Great Intelligence. He would have made such a good Doctor, and as a matter of fact, did make a very good Doctor, I might say, having seen Scream of the Shaka. I like Matt Smith in this. I like more of the mystery with Clara. I actually like this version of Clara better than the actual Clara we got. I tend to like this version of Clara and Asylum of the Daleks version of Clara better than the Clara we actually ended up getting stuck with. The time period looks good. I'm not a big fan of the Ponstenatter gang or whatever they're called. I'm not a big fan of them. They're fine. The actors playing them are good. I just never really got into them. The bit about the woman in the ice, or the ice woman or whatever, that's a pretty neat concept. The kids being scared. And just the mystery of who Clara is. And the Doctor, if there's one thing about the Doctor, is he always lets his curiosity get the better of him. So of course he has to figure out what's going on with her. I really enjoyed this one. It's just directed well, it's shot well, it's just a really good episode. Number 4 on the list is The Beast Below. I really enjoyed this one. It's interesting because it's only Matt Smith's second episode in the role, but I already feel like I'm clicking with his Doctor. I kind of like the dynamic between him and Amy. I like the actual story. I think the story is good. I enjoy it. The actress playing Liz Tim is really good. I like her. I like the Doctor. I love the stuff he does with the glass so he can tell the engines aren't running. That's really cool. So you only help when there's upset children. He's like, yes. The fact that Amy tries to protect him even though she doesn't remember doing it. And you actually see the Doctor's temper at the end when he gets angry at everybody with that bit about nobody human has anything to say to me today. I love that. There's a little bit of 6 and 11, especially early run 11, Series 5-11. I really like that. And Matt nails that really well. And then the fact it's Amy who actually figures out the proper solution for it. That's it's just some nice, fun, almost fairy tale-like episode to me, and I really enjoy it. Number 3 on the list is Victory of the Daleks, which is probably higher than a lot of people would have it. This episode has its flaws, but I enjoy it so much. I like the Daleks in the first half of it better, the more cooler looking Daleks. I don't mind the pantomime Daleks the way some people do. I didn't like them at the time when the episode originally aired, but I'm fine with them now. They didn't stick around long, and the design itself is fine. I like the fact that they each had a backup feature they never used where they could reverse their chest, like the chest around to their back, and their back had like, each of them had a unique weapon, apparently in the original planning. We just never got it on screen. That's pretty cool. I love how the Doctor and Churchill are just old buddies. It's like they're old drinking buddies. Churchill's like, oh, you've got another face again. I love their banter. Like just good friends who haven't seen each other in a while. I love the idea of that. That the Doctor and Churchill are just good drinking buddies, and the Churchill's like, oh, you've got another face, cool. When you're gonna let me have access to that TARDIS? You know, the fact they can have that kind of banter that old chums have together, I absolutely love that. I live for that. I want more of that. Plus, I just like the guy who plays Churchill a lot. He's so good. Just as an actor, I really like him. I would love to see Churchill come back in another episode. Because I love the camaraderie between them, the rapport between them. The episode itself is good. I like the fact that the one guy who kind of reminds me of Lesterson, the guy who supposedly built the Ironsides, really reminds me of Lesterson. The fact he's an invention of the Daleks, I thought that was a neat little twist and turn on things. I didn't see that coming. It is kind of an inferior version of Power, which kind of homages Power at some point. Like, I am your soldier. That's a nice nod to I am your servant. He even holds the S slightly. Soldier. I like that. Nice little nod there. Is it as good as Power? No. But is it good? Yes. I enjoy the story. I love the fact the Daleks win. It really is Victory of the Daleks. The Daleks trick the Doctor, manipulate the Doctor, are able to replenish themselves, and they escape. I wish there were more Doctor Who stories where the Daleks won. Maybe not totally, but where they do win, where the Doctor's not able to stop something they're trying to do. I wish there was a way to make that happen, to make the Daleks kind of threatening again, if you do it right. Now, the one place it kind of loses me, I can accept the pantomime Daleks just fine. It's the World War II planes in space that my willing suspension of disbelief just goes, nope, I'm out. It packs its suitcase, it grabs its hat, it's out the door. That is the biggest laughing moment in the episode, and in Doctor Who, period. It's one of them. World War II planes flying around in space attacking the Dalek ship. That is utterly ridiculous. And that's really a jumping the shark moment. We're talking Vincent and the Doctor jumping the shark there. That's utterly ridiculous. I still really like the episode, but that is just absurd. Absurd. Other than that, I think it's a fun, exciting episode. One of my favorite modern Who Dalek stories for sure. Number 2 on the list is The Bells of St. John. This one is so much fun. It's a great introduction to proper Clara, actual companion Clara. And she's great in this episode. I like Matt Smith in this. I love just him in the past on the phone. How did you get this number to the phone? The lady at the shop, the what? I like that. I love the incidental music in this episode a lot. There's a bit when him and her are just riding on the bike and they're doing that. Dun, 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 ba, 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 ba. I really like that little piece of music right there. I have the soundtrack, so I like listening to that. It's really short, but I like it. I enjoy, again, the great intelligence coming back, still being a threat. What it's doing, taking over people's mind. I like the idea of something dangerous in the Wi-Fi. I would love to see Doctor Who do something with that again. I love when something every day is turned frightening like that. Doctor Who is really good at that. Modern Who especially is really good at that. So the idea of something in the Wi-Fi is pretty cool. I actually like that idea. The ending is pretty good. I like when it restores kind of the main female antagonist to her default setting. She's a child, which just shows how long she's been under the great intelligence's sway, I should say. How long he's been manipulating her ever since she was a child. That's pretty interesting to find out. And then I like the bit when the Doctor tricks her by sending the robot of him there, how he hacks it with the sonic. I love that, because I didn't see that coming, because he has the helmet on. Did you not even hear the part where I said anti-grav? I love that, watching him drive the bike up the building. I didn't realize he'd used the robot until he takes the helmet off. And I love the confidence as he confronts her. You're going to do that. Why would I do that? Because I'm going to motivate you. I love that. I absolutely love that. That's really cool. And I didn't see it coming, so it gets points for that. And then I just love the little flirtatious nature between Eleven and Clara. The bit when he's like, you should be out doing young people stuff, dancing. She's like, dancing with you? Down, boy. And he's like, no, I love that. Such a fun episode. I mean, it's essential because it does set up this era of Classic Who, which doesn't last long, but I like Series 7B a lot. And this episode sets it up, and it is kind of essential. And it's just fun. And number 1 on the list for me is The 11th Hour. I really like The 11th Hour. My favorite Matt Smith episode is his first one, right out of the gate. I love how Matt Smith is in the role here. I wish he had played the Doctor more like he does here. I really love this version of the Doctor, and I wish we had a version of the Doctor that was a lot like he is in this episode. Because it feels like everything is perfectly balanced for the Doctor in this episode. I enjoy the story. Some of the special effects haven't aged the best, but that's fine. I won't hold that against it. I like the introduction to Amy. It does a really good job of explaining how a companion and a Doctor can have that kind of bond, especially from the companion's point of view, how they can have that kind of connection to the Doctor right from the get-go, with him running into her as a child, really leaving an impact on her to where she kind of thinks of him as an imaginary friend. And then he, of course, being a time traveler, he accidentally pops back 12 years later. So automatically you get that connection. We get a nice introduction to Rory, who's like that boyfriend. She's like, sort of boyfriend. That's funny, the way Karen and Arthur do that scene with Matt. Where's he? Who? Him? No, the cute one. He's like, the other guy's like, thanks. No, the cute one. Oh, thanks. That's really, really funny. I feel like Matt, Karen, and Arthur have really good chemistry together. They're a great trio. I really like them together. And they're on fire in this episode. Although the bit with Jeff, I think it is Jeff, is funny. I love when he borrows Jeff's computer and he looks at it and he's like, get a room, Jeff. That's fun. The little bits of humor in there are like, we get a nice little scene with Olivia Colman in it. That's pretty cool. I'd love to see her come back and do something more substantial in Doctor Who. She's such a big name now. The scene at the end when he's putting on his actual outfit, when he really becomes the Doctor. I absolutely love seeing the footage from Classic Who of old villains and seeing all the previous Doctors. And just that bit when he tells them, basically run. I love that. Basically run. I love that. Like, I was sold on his Doctor after the first episode, which is not easy to do coming right behind David Tennant. But he had me sold on him being the Doctor after his first episode. Everything just came together really well in that one. And I love the scene when he's trying all the different foods. I love when he actually throws the bread out. And stay out! I don't know, you're Scottish, fry something. I love all of that. It's just a well-written episode and an amazing episode of Doctor Who, and probably objectively the best post-regeneration story we've ever had. So that's how I would rank the Matt Smith era, the 11th Doctor's era, from worst to best. I want to know what you think of this list and how you would rank them. So comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well for more great content. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There is a link to that down in the description below if you want to check that out. Several different tiers there to choose from. All of my Blake 7 full reactions will be coming there as well. I also want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support as I do the support of all of my patrons. It does make a difference. I have a link to my Amazon wish list down there if there's anything on that you would like to order for me. And my P.O. box is down there as well if there's anything you would like to send for me to look at and review. And most importantly, thank you for watching. In last place, in the 39th place, is... Next on the wrist. Number 4 on the list is Victory of the Daleks. No, that's not right. I need to flip those. I wrote them that way, but I meant to flip them.